What you laughing for? Welcome.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Greetings. Shanti Om Shanti. Welcome.
Yours truly, Jay Green.
Wow, Bloom L.
We got a new guest on the show today.
Yes, we do. Shasha Lee from New York City.
Shasha Lee.
You gotta do this when you say Shasha Lee from New York City.
Dude, the Big Apple. The Big Apple went all that green too. That big
Emerald, darling.
Yes.
Diamond.
You look
Royalty.
ravishing. Beautiful. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is the 239 Spiritual Awakening Podcast. It's the 239 Collective Healers Collective. And as I always do, she said, Om Shanti, welcome you in. I say, Namaste, Shalom, Hallelujah, Assalamu Alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
That's right.
And whatever else.
And Islam to my Moors.
Whatever your welcome calling is, whatever.
And greetings to you.
Yes. So here we go. This is while me and Wild Bloom get together, we going in. This is episode number 4, number 4, Sacred Sexual Healing. I got it right this time with the Sacred Sexual Goddess.
Yes.
And
That's what we're here.
no better of a season. It's a full moon. The sun has been piping. The moon has been piping the last 3 nights. It's been amazing. I've been fasting for the last 3 days, and it's definitely a different vibe in the air right now. Definitely something different than I've ever felt energetically to make me want to fast for 3 days straight. Other than water. I got lemon water, I got my honey, I got my, anything else. So.
Well, like I said, you're naturally just in tune because the full moon is Virgo. Virgo is that's the house of health, so that's the sign of health. And so you were just naturally in tune with what your body needed to do to boost your health, and so that meant from abstaining from food. And since we're talking about abstinence,
and we just left the Veg Fest too, the Vegan Fest. We're gonna have some pictures from that. So it's just everything aligned perfect today. You got the vegan food, and you got the not eating, and then you got abstinence from food. But
exactly.
Well, sex is food, sex is nourishment, sex is creative life force energy, and it doesn't have to come to a physical genitalia happening, but sex is always happening, love is always in the making.
Right.
But specifically, we're going to be talking about abstinence today, abstaining from the physical act of sex. And we're all in different phases of our journey in that.
What about celibacy? Tell me the difference, or tell them the difference you think between celibacy, because from what I understand, it's not the same thing.
Well, I'm noticing that she's saying celibacy and abstinence. I'm like, it's a difference?
Yeah, there is a difference. So to me, and look it up for yourself, look into it yourself. But for me, celibacy is usually when it's a determined long-term abstinence from sex, where abstinence is more of a short term, where you're in between relationships, and you're going to abstain from connecting in that way, so you can do your clearing and your cleansing of yourself and healing to prepare yourself for your next intercourse or relationship in that way. But celibacy is more of a long term, where I'm committing to, I'm not going to have sex for this amount of time. And usually people go into that commitment due to a religious vow or something like that. So
Which
that's
I have.
what that is.
So I'm definitely celibacy 100%.
Yeah, well, you're celibate. You're celibate just because you've gone for nearly a decade. I'm celibate because I have gone a decade.
Well, mine is a spiritual oath that I took.
So when you have a love connection with a woman, are you going to maintain that spiritual oath? You're going to live a life. So you're not celibate then.
Well, that was part of the deal, though. That's why I am celibate.
So you're so you are celibate now, but when you connect with someone, then you will no longer be celibate.
Correct.
All right.
But
so how long have you been celibate?
Me?
Yeah.
A little over 9 years. It'll be 10 years on Thanksgiving of this year. So I know that 10 is the number of completion, 10 is the ending, which breaks down to 1, which is a new beginning. So I'm about 100% sure that it's coming soon.
Absolutely.
And I know that it's gonna happen, if not before Thanksgiving, probably next year, you know, but I know I'm getting close to the end of that day.
And I love that you broke that down in that way, because that's the thing for me, because it's been 10 years for me, but now I am in the blooming of a new love, and eagerly looking for the love making in that way, physical manifestation of that. And so it felt like a complete cycle, a complete, you know, a completion in that. And so and now, so you've been abstinent for how long?
Since January
Of last year or this year?
Let me break it down. January of this year. Okay, wait. Let me break that
So
down.
you're celibate technically. I mean, abstinent.
No, she's abstinent. That's what I said. How long have you been abstinent?
Let me break it down. Okay. I have not had a sexual encounter going on 3 years.
All right.
Okay. But I have had phone joneses, communication with, a gentleman.
All right.
That was for 2 years, but because of the fact we were in 2 different countries and 2 different states,
Locations,
there was no intimacy there.
Well, there was no physical intimacy.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
There was no physical intimacy there.
Right.
But it was the mental, the feeling like you are still committed. You making plans to be with.
So I appreciate that difference too. Yeah.
January was when, after talking to Bloom, and Bloom had said, and I was telling her, it was just so funny. We was actually standing outside of my house, you know, and on New Year's Eve we was just talking, girl talk, and then I told her about them. She was like, "Oh no, that's over. You can be over with that." And in less than an hour, we broke up. How crazy was
She
that?
put a spell on you.
Exactly.
She has a tendency to do that.
Well, that was good. That was a good spell that she put on me, because I needed to break that chain, you know, because in the reality that has been a 25-year chain with this one gentleman, you know. It was a constant back and forth. He was, if I could say, incarcerated for 16 years. Then he came home, and he was home for like a year and a half. We had got back together. Then after that, he got deported. So he was deported for almost like going on 4 years now. So that was the communication with him while he's there.
Right.
So it's like, that has taken a toll on me. So this year, I would say the end of January, February, I said, I'm done.
Right. That's
Okay, I said I have
congratulations.
never, ever been single. And when I say single, I mean completely no communication with a man, no type of, love, talking on the phone, like me and you gonna be together for the rest of our life. None of that. I want to just shed myself of that. I want to take one whole year to just take time to work on me and to come to the realization, like, why is it so important for you why have it been so important to you to continue to have yourself intertwined with the opposite sex for all these years, from the age of 16 actually. I'm 50.
Right.
I just turned 50, so it's like when you turn 50, it's like, okay, I gotta get something together.
Yeah, you're grown woman on that.
Congratulations. Welcome home. It's like your first time home, for a very long time. It's like you're returning home, and we all definitely need that. So, and I love that distinction too, because sometimes we think that we're abstinent because we're not physically having sex, but everything starts energetically. Exactly. And so if you're engaging and really interacting with someone and really engrossing in that connection, emotion, because everything begins in your feeling body or emotion body or energetic body. So that's a true distinction as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And that's the reason why it's like I had to be clear on, I'm going to be 100% single, meaning me alone, no communications, no interacting with emotional feelings, nothing.
Right.
Because I've never done that. So I said,
that's the same way I felt.
Welcome. And that's so important.
Because you be so committed to that, I call it a fantasy, and you be so committed to the fact of the possibilities of, and communicating with a person, and then also too, I had to take into consideration that this person have been removed from society for so many years. So he cannot possibly give me the emotional connection because he was for 20 he's aggravated. So all that aggravation energy that he has, he puts it all on me. And I'm feeling sorry for him. And I'm feeling like, okay, well, let's figure out what our life would be if I moved to Haiti. He's like, what? So I said, okay, let's figure out what my life would be if I moved to the Dominican Republic, because that's where he's at now. But it's like, I spend so much time on trying to figure out how to live my life within his life. So I'm like, you know what? I'm done.
Yeah, because you were basically abandoning yourself for a dream.
Yes,
You know, when
exactly.
you're constantly living somewhere over there, somewhere back there, you're not present, and so you're cheating on yourself.
Cheating
You're
on
abandoning yourself,
Exactly.
and so welcome home.
Thank you,
Congratulations!
thank
I'm
you.
so happy for you.
Exactly.
So abstinence, emotional abstinence, mental abstinence, and physical abstinence. So there are differences in celibacy in those realms as well. So yeah, I'm happy for the distinction.
You want to talk about the spiritual importance of it? I don't know if you want to get into like no fap and semen retention and some of these other things, like the importance of.
Well, semen retention, semen is your life force energy. That's the nectar of the life force. All men should ideally want to retain their life force energy. You want to retain your semen. Every time you ejaculate, you are dropping in consciousness. So your consciousness level is dropping. You're descending more into your lower form. When you retain your semen and you learn to ejaculate, you are rising, you're ascending into your spiritual realm. And ejaculation and orgasm are not the same thing. They're not synonymous.
Right.
Break it down, Bloom. Break
So-
it down. Tell them. Talk to them.
So, you know, when you have an orgasm, you are in your true bliss. You are in perfect alignment. All of your bodies are one. Everything is lined up in perfect harmony. So it's like when you hear the symphony, when you hear the harmonics, that's the perfect harmony, and that's where you reach orgasm. When you ejaculate, you're not orgasming. You're wasting your life force energy. That's why most men, all men, after you have an ejaculation, you feel tired. You're disconnected. You disconnect from your lover. There's separation. When a woman has an orgasm, she wants to get closer. She wants to hold on to what you all just experienced together, but you really didn't experience it together. You disconnected because he ejaculated and she orgasmed. So orgasm and ejaculation are not the same thing. And yes, retain your semen, retain your life force energy. And when you do that, you will then be able to be a proper lover, a whole complete lover to your woman, and be able to assist her so that she can reach her multi-orgasmic state. But the more you're just spilling out, you're no use to yourself or your lover.
And also too, men have to really understand what having, how you saying, ejaculation, exactly what their semen is. Like they say, planting a seed. Men can have like 10 babies in a year. A woman can only have one. So they have to understand the importance of what they are putting out into the universe, that they are giving.
Yeah, life force energy.
You're just giving out and you're wasting it. And then when you really, really want to have children, you sterile. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because you done gave it all out. And also too, a woman, and when she gives away her womb to these men, and these men are not worthy of it. Like I said, I always say I used to tell my clients, because I did hair for like 25 years, so I was with women like every
You done heard
day.
some stories
So
about
I
men
heard
over there in
some
relationships.
stories. So I used to tell them, stop putting these foreign objects into your body. And even though they were a man, but they foreign objects,
Absolutely.
because you don't really know them. They have not earned the price, or they haven't earned a place in your womb, you know,
Right,
where your
exactly.
children come from, where everything comes from. If you get sick, it starts there. So it's like they have to understand that. And I used to tell them, like, you cannot just give that away. And there's no such thing that a woman can have sex and don't have no feelings, because that we're just not made like that.
Exactly.
You know, it's like me. I tell the guy, if we have sex, we're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Not only that,
We're
baby,
couple.
we married.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, based on the whole.
It's a spiritual marriage.
Yeah, I want to get into that about the significance of like the cardinal flesh desires of relationships and then the actual spiritual sex, the difference in the two, piggybacking off of what she said. I just seen that white butterfly again. The last one we had that white butterfly circling around us. Interesting. Maybe that's the sex. We gotta see what the white butterfly means, because you found you got a feather you found on the way here too. So it's interesting. But yeah, I want to break it down for the fellas, man, and that's basically why I became abstinent. That's one of the reasons I became abstinent celibate, because I had to sit my ass down after I analyzed. Well, the universe and the creator sat my ass down, whether I wanted to sit my ass down or not. You know,
You cooperated.
I just got to the point, like you said, from age 15 to 33, I had already been married twice, and I already had 2 split up families and from 2 different women, and it's definitely a strain both ways, because like when you have a split up family, it's just you breaking up that unit. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it can work. Sometimes it can work, but it's an uphill.
But it has to be, and both people have to be in communications of it. Both people have to understand that the child is the importance, and our friendship and how we get along and how we merge that together, that the child doesn't feel like they are at a loss anywhere, because that is so harmful to the child's development, because the child feels the divorce or the separation or the breakup just as much as the parents do, and a lot of times parents don't get that. And also too, when it comes down to men breaking up with their significant other and then take on another significant other, how that affects. I feel like when a man is dating another woman, it's very important that the other woman and the child's mother be able to sit down so that the new woman can see what type of woman this is that would be around my child. But I find that a lot of times men don't do that, and they try to just tell the woman it is what it is, and that's horrible, because the child is the one that's affected.
Well, the thing is, you're right. A lot of men don't open that door, but it's about the woman, because if a woman doesn't move forward with a man who would not do that, it's all on the woman.
It's always on the mother. It's always
the mother,
on the mother.
The woman is women. So it's not about the man don't do that. No, women allow men not to do it.
Exactly.
So it's us being really the mothers, because we are mothers.
Yeah.
And so, but we don't know, and we don't move, and we don't live in who we are in our nature. So it's because females allow that bull. That's what that is.
Exactly.
So,
because I would never be a child's mother and not want to have some type of communication with your new girl, or I would not be the new girlfriend and not have communication
Absolutely.
with your child's mother.
Absolutely.
I don't even want to meet your child.
Right.
It's very awkward.
Until I can have some type of,
Because it's an
understanding.
extended family now. We're all coming together. It's an expansion of the one. So it's natural. But we know that, what's happening in the world in relationships, they're out of harmony, they're out of tune, and so but
because I'm gonna continue right on. You handed it right off to me, and I think the reason why, I'm gonna give my testimony in a minute, but because I know you gave yours already, so I'm gonna finish mine. But I believe that is the reason, because we go back to the carnal flesh desires of the world versus the true spiritual connections that we have, because we're too young and we don't even recognize it. Most people aren't really in
spiritually
tune.
mature.
Yeah,
Right.
so in defense, when we look back now, we're older and we're mature. We look back at our kids' age, so now we can teach that, but that's kind of been lacking, for the better words, the last maybe 60 years or more. It could be longer, but I say 60 years because I'm speaking of the urban community, mostly of the destruction of the family unit. And I know this is where Wild Bloom gonna detach, because she's so inner. She don't speak on nothing of the outer. So this is where me and you gonna have to come in.
I get it. Go ahead.
Because I don't want to get political and all, but we have to. We have to when we talk about it.
It's the reality
Yes.
of what was introduced to us as what do you call it, melanated people.
Yeah.
So it's like we were just basically, for me, growing up in New York, and growing up in New York is like growing up in World War II. You know what I'm saying?
I'm from Chicago. She's from Cleveland, so it's the same universal in every hood.
So growing up there, it's no difference between a girl and a boy. military. Like when you're growing up, it said like, oh, okay, Erica, but that's my government name. You know, Erica and Jason had a fight. So who won? Oh, Erica beat up Jason. Or Jason beat up Erica. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a matter of girl and boy, or thinking that a girl should never hit a boy, or boy should never hit a girl. It's like survival of the fittest. So with that coming in and saying, it's like the guys, their introduction to sex was like, just get it. You know, just have sex, just go get it. And then for the girls, it was sort of kind of like, yeah, I got him. So where's the connection? Where's the connection?
There is none.
You know, us as people and knowing that that's wrong. And then sometimes too, growing up in a household, it's like my household growing up, it was like stuff like that was secrets. You never really was taught that. You didn't know how to embrace it, or you know, you didn't have no experience with it. Only thing you saw for me growing up, I saw my mom always upset, but I never really knew what she was upset about until now. I'm a grown woman and I know exactly what she was upset about. My dad's infidelity. So it's like that make us as young girls grow up thinking like, okay, is that how it's supposed to be, or just this and this, or a disconnect?
It's just all disconnect. But I want you to finish the point you were making.
Okay.
You want to check.
So I'm going to jump into the American politics side because that's my thing. So I'm going to talk about like the destruction of the black family. And yeah, I'm 30% African, so I think I can talk on this conversation. My mother's African, so I see it from both sides, having a European father, but I grew up with my African side. I don't know my European side because oddly enough, my father took me away from his side of the family because he ran away from him when he was 15 years old. So I never got to know that side. I experienced the south side of Chicago, Inglewood side is what I grew up with. So as most of us know, like melanated people, I used to say the word melanated people in this country, and up until I think 1956 were Republicans. The party switched then, and how people switched, how they was able to manipulate uneducated people, poor people, was by giving them free stuff, and it was just that simple. So what happened is, if you look back in the civil rights era, like black folks never really killed each other in this country. They never really, there was organizations. We had the Black Panthers in the 70s. It was about a family unit living together, man, woman, children, in the same.
Teach one.
Yeah, so then what happened is
The government became your daddy.
Yeah, the guy, exactly. See, now I come out, now she ain't ever want to talk about this stuff, but I got up out of her.
It's not that I don't want to talk about it. I just don't focus there because the healing begins within. So
I know.
Yeah, so I don't mind talking about it, but when I'm gonna talk, it's let's plant seeds of creating where we need to go versus constantly talking about what everybody knows what the problem is.
But we know, but a lot of people don't know this.
No, there's and that's why I'm being quiet and I'm assisting you. The government became your daddy. I'm assisting you in what you're saying. It's necessary. So yes,
but
go.
we got to get to the root to be able to clear it up, to know where we need to go with it.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know.
And that's inside. So, but go ahead. So the government became your daddy.
Yeah, the government became your daddy. Basically, they separated the men, people in a situation where women were faced to choose. If you want somewhere to live, you don't got the money, you got to pick over your kids or your man. And a lot of women had to choose the kids, so now the father can't live with the woman, and she living in Section 8 of her housing, so you just broke up the family. Then another 20 years later, you mix crack cocaine into the mix and these various drugs, and then you mix hip-hop music into the mix, and now you got the complete destruction, the bashing of women, the degradation of women, and and now it's on a whole nother level with just the femininity and the masculinity of everything, with all the labels and it's just, we live in and I got nothing against the feminine agenda, but as a father of two daughters, I'm still wrapping around my head like a grown man who wakes up today and says he's a woman. But that's a whole nother conversation.
But that is an agenda, though, and it is a feminist agenda. And I wouldn't say it's about divine femininity versus feminist. Those are two different things. You know, so one is a political agenda that continues to support and break up melanated families, indigenous families. But the femininity and divine feminine, that's a spiritual dimension. That's something that's.
But they're trying to mix and dilute the two. I think.
They're not. They're not. And people are being fooled by that. But we know better.
Because we wise, we grew up. That's where you try to get to the younger generation to tell them kind of how we got from 1955 to 2021. Because it's been a huge change. In the community when it comes to a lot of things. When we talking about sexuality, and now we have, when there's a male and there's no masculinity in the house, a man, I always say this, I go with the old African proverb of how it takes a village to raise a child. This is true, but you got to have the man part of that village too. Like, it can't be, this is just my 2 cents, like, if you have a man grow up around 10 women and no men the majority of his life, he's gonna be leaning more towards a feminine person.
Absolutely.
And you have to have balance. You have to have alignment. You have to 50-50. It has to.
No, 100. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's, I just want to, kind of just
Absolutely.
the attack of the legal system. You don't pay child support, you go to jail, then you got to pay for your driver's license, you got to pay for court fees. It's just a never-ending money maker for the government, who becomes the father of the kid. They tell you how to raise it.
That's your daddy. It's so funny. So I do want to tell.
He's your pimp.
I do want to tell a funny story. I recall when I was much younger, and this is going to what you were talking about, when the families had to, the women had to choose the daddy or husband. And we went to go visit one of my aunties, one of my great aunts, and we were there, and everything was just in its natural flow. It's all right, it's just a visitor. In its natural flow, and one of the, I guess, caseworkers or social workers or something came, and immediately all her children, so she had, I think, about 7 or 8 children, all the children were running through the house, hiding everything, like putting up the iron, putting up the everything that looked new. The husband had to go
Take
out
his
the
clothes.
other door.
I know people living like that right now. Right now. Can't be with his kids.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there looking like, what the hell is going on? So, but then, and so my mother was like, I'll explain it to you later, baby. but that is real. That is real.
Sometimes those caseworkers show up like a parole officer.
Yeah.
Show up out of the blue, and it's like they always want to have their hand on your neck or something like that. They just want to have their hands.
Well, that's just what they're doing their job.
They want to make sure if they're giving that money out, they want to make sure if they're giving them food stamps and that free rent out, that they make it show it's,
they're doing their job.
That the man can't be in the picture.
If I'm your daddy, just like that's the nature of a man. If when you're loving a woman, you don't want her being you the man. You're not sharing your woman with anybody.
Yeah,
no, I'm saying that is still, they're doing their job.
Yeah,
so
they're
it's
playing
not about,
the role of the daddy, and the real daddy
exactly.
is playing a simp or just someone that's constantly fighting or just gives up at some point.
Well, but what it is, it's the woman, because the woman chose
that route.
The woman chose. The woman makes the choice. The woman always chooses. So I'm just bringing it back to the source. Because we're not going to beat up the government. Yeah, we can say what the government is, but the government is a reflection of the collective consciousness. So the women choose. The woman chose to say, all right, I'm going to get that check. So you going to go hide in the closet.
And now we got a generation of these kids.
And that devalued and demasculated our men. So so the government is just doing their job. They doing what that's what it is. So
but now how do we do our job as men though? That's the issue.
We have to realign with the woman, but it's the women. It's the women have to, we have to realign, and that's why the communication, the healing of the relationships, and bringing in the sexuality and spirituality, because sexuality and spirituality are not separate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about harmonizing, it's about communication, it's about true love making, and reconnecting. So that's just what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to give them some history. I know, that's why we're the yin and the yang, the air and the fire,
Exactly. The Venus Venus and the what?
The Mars and Venus.
Right.
That's
So,
exactly
but no
so.
one ever said this human life experience will be easy. We just
Exactly.
spiritual beings living a human experience. And everything worth what they say having is worth fighting for, or
Exactly.
working for at
Exactly.
least. You don't have to say fighting because that
Yeah,
could
we-
lead to something else. But
Yeah.
But
so
the thing about it is like what's so true about it is the fact that it's like piggybacking, like you said, off of you, it goes back so far, and I know Lynn don't even go back. It goes back into slavery, where the man was taken away because he was stronger, or another man, he was stronger. So that right there that was like the first start of separating the family, was taking the man over here. Now the woman got to be over here with the kids. Then after that, women and men couldn't get married. They had to hide the fact that they were married. So it's basically the same thing today. Then not only that, it's like how they used to pair the men against each other. Like, is he big enough and strong to be able to fight? Is he big enough and strong? As the clear people, I call them, sat back, made money off of them, watched them beat each other up to the Pope, because of the fact that if they didn't beat each other up for the best man win, to the point where they had to, sometimes they had to kill their brother to win. You know what I'm saying? Because they both
Mandingos.
Yes, they had to beat them or kill them to win. And then the only thing they really won was some bottles, something to drink, or a little bit of money for their family. But they just killed their brother with no feeling with that, because of the fact that this was a form of survival. As the clear people sat back, watched, separated, what is it called?
Divide and conquer.
Right, and demoralized and everything else in between. And I'm sorry not to break that up, but it comes back to
You don't have to apologize for anything that flows. It's fine.
That's how what I feel like with homosexuality. I feel like that's another way to take the black man out of the house.
that's what I was getting to, but I want somebody else to say
Right.
it.
Who is the black man sleeping with first? The queer people. You understand? Then now everything on TV is about men and men. And now, before it was about men and men, now they done brought it to women and women. The first black woman who plays Superwoman or Batgirl, she's a black woman, but they have her as a, not just a lesbian, they have her as bisexual. Now they say she's cute. You understand what I'm saying? She don't know if she want a man or a woman.
Well, but so
it's
even
just
outside of what they do, we bring it back to what we do, and it's about us having a consciousness. So first off, I'm not black. I'm a Moorish American. I have a nationality. When we buy into programming, we are allowing ourselves to be brainwashed. When we don't have consciousness, it's not about what anybody does. Like, we have to have our own sovereignty. We can remove ourselves from these systems. The systems are going to be in place and do what they are designed to do. We don't have to plug into it. We don't have to intercourse with it. We don't have to have sex with it. We don't have to create with it. So when we learn who we are, learn your nature, get into your sovereignty, it doesn't matter about they, them, and that, and those. It's all about you. And when we can, in our consciousness, in our nature, heal ourselves individually first, singly,
So
and
how-
then
so how do
then we heal our relationships within our partnerships and heal our families. Basically,
It'll be working. All right, so relationships. Sasa, right?
Yeah,
Shasha. Shasha.
Shasha Lee.
Shasha comes from when I was young. I told Bloom, it comes from, my name is, when I was calling myself Shaquality. MC Shaquality, because at that time I'm from New York, we're from Queens, Jamaica, Queens, and want to be a rapper. So it turned into MC Shaquality. Then as I got older, I would say like the age of 19, I met a guy and he was a 5%er, and then I became somewhat 5% with him, and I changed it to Shaquala. You know, Queen Shaquala, mother of the universe. So I took that name on, I took it serious.
That's right.
Then after that, you know, going into business and working in the entertainment world and doing hair, Shaquala would have been a little too tough. So I broke Shaquala down to Shasha. So then now my name in the hair business, my business name is Shasha Lee. So, but it all stemmed from MC Shaquality. And it was all within search of finding who I was and finding my voice. So now as Shasha Lee, I'm very clear on who I am as a young lady. But when it comes down to relationship, I'm clear super clear on what is right, what is not right, what should be, what should not be. But when it comes down to the world, I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Well,
There's
I'm
nothing
gonna
in
say-
the world. Even I know you're a 5%er. Let's put it on par. But I think.
Well, no, I'm not 5% anymore.
Oh, okay. But you know, there's a scripture in the Judeo-Christian. Don't quote me on this. I'm paraphrasing, but you know, there's nothing. How am I gonna say this? Like
Just
you
say
can't
it.
you can't chase the world and you can't chase the Creator at the same time. Something along those lines. Like you have to choose one.
Okay.
Because there's nothing in the world for us. Like that's why they give you the storyline of how the devil tempted Jesus in the desert for 40 days and offered him the world and he didn't take it.
Okay.
So I was just using that as a quick
No, I
analogy.
like
Because
that
I know
one.
most of the people who are going to see this, we're in America, and let's be honest, we know why this is a Christian Judeo majority country, because that's what they did to sell us out. So, you know, it's just...
And tried to make us believe that that was God's way, that the reason why we were slaves, and for us to embrace it.
I know you had a thought. You want to go on that thought? I was going to give my testimony.
No, go ahead. No, I was going to just respond to when she said what should and should not. And I just think whatever is, that is what should be, because it is. Otherwise, it would not be. So just even evolve past what should and shouldn't, because that's like me saying if it starts raining, like, oh, it shouldn't be raining. Well, but I'm fighting reality. It is raining, so it should be raining.
Well, I guess you could look at it more like the whole cardinal flesh relationship versus spiritual relationship. I think that's why you can compare the world to the flesh, and you carry the spirit to the Creator. It's the same thing. It's just another label. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about the spiritual connection versus the flesh, because you know, I got into.
Well,
I didn't
the
mean to
flesh
touch you on your ass,
ultimately.
but-
I know it wasn't intentional, but it's all right. But ultimately, the what is in the what manifests in flesh is sourced from the spirit. So when the spirit is out of harmony, then there's going to be discord manifested. So therefore, that's what I'm saying. So there is no should or shouldn't, because the only thing that can manifest is what is created in the energetic spiritual realm. So everything is made in the image and likeness of the spirit. So
right. So, but we're talking to when we were at a point in our lives where we weren't connected, at least consciously, with the spirit, when we were living in the world, or at least I was. So I'll tell my story.
Living of the world, yes.
Yeah, so I was living. I'm not afraid to say I was not living in the world, and I was definitely out there wilding out for a long time. So
yeah, because you were unconscious, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the knowledge came to me. It just, it wasn't the divine timing. Yeah, it wasn't. It just wasn't. I kept getting distracted in relationships since. So, so mine started like you. You said 16. Mine started at 15, and I know some people who know me personally gonna be like, man, we don't believe this when they hear this, because they like people know me. Some people who we talked about really knowing somebody on the last one. People who really know me, but the people who have this perception of who I used to be is not going to believe what I'm about to say, because they know me as a disc jockey, and they know me from being in the clubs and being on the radio, and they know the people who was in my inner bubble, in my circle, who was around me in the lifestyle that they live. So I thank the Most High for giving me the past that I got, because like, if it wasn't for me being, the good thing, if it wasn't for me being in these committed relationships and being married and the way it planned out, and being off the market from singlehood, and being from age 15 to 30, 15 years I was in relationships, like you said, it was a long time, so I wasn't out there. But if I wasn't, I easily would have like 50 body count right now, because all the people in my inner circle, that's where they was at. So I was like, I can count my body count on one hand, with not all
And
five
when you
fingers.
say body count, you mean babies?
No, just people I've slept with energetically, sexual exchange. No, I only got two babies. Two babies, that's it. I don't know, but if you believe in palmistry,
When you said that you would have had
50.
a 50 body counts, I thought you meant 50 like babies.
No, man, heck no. I
was
strap
like,
up, man. I ain't, Close Encounters, the two I got wasn't, I didn't think they was coming, but that's another podcast. We'll do one strictly on birth control.
I don't believe in birth control. I'm gonna go there.
Self-control.
I believe in conscious conception.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
you can't control birth.
I like that.
How you gonna control birth? You can't control
You can't.
birth.
If you take that risk,
but you can't control birth. You can, it's about conscious conception.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we
So-
don't know that. So
Exactly.
you're teaching
We'll talk
us,
about that.
You're teaching us.
Yeah, that's
bringing
why I'm
us
just
into
putting.
new
That's why I'm
light.
just putting it. But I don't want to change the subject.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so my little testimony is I give my testimony of how I got where I am at, right? So like at age 33, that's when I became single for the first time in my life. You know, so I already had 18 years of experience, including 2 marriages and 2 kids from them, and I had other fuck buddies. I'll just be honest, in between those it was just straight sex connection. There was no physical, no spiritual, no emotional, just so I realized, you get to that point when you become single, like you said, for the first time, you start analyzing your whole life, and you like, damn, how did I really get to this destination at this point in my life? And I realized I'm like, I've been repeating the same 2 cycles. I'm like, I had the same cycles. Like I would meet somebody, we have sex, they move away, it becomes a long distance relationship, it fizzles. I meet somebody, have sex, have a baby, and then try to get married afterwards, and then because it falls apart because it wasn't even built on a solid foundation to begin with, so it's gonna fall anyway. So, but I'm thankful that I had these experiences because I would not be here right now if it wasn't for those experiences. So it's nothing bad. I don't believe
That's
in
why I
nothing
say it's
bad.
not about what shouldn't happen. It is. It's just it is.
And also too, when you learn what you don't want, then you know what you do want.
Exactly. And you know your worth. You know what you're worth, and then
absolutely.
you got to be willing to put in the work. So on that day, when it was revealed to me, through a lot of prayer and meditation.
Because you sat still, you got
I
quiet,
was
so
still,
it wasn't.
no distractions.
And it's no. Just pause. I'm not really trying to interrupt you, but back to what you said, how you weren't ready for the knowledge because still things were coming from outside. You got your awakening because you sat still and were quiet because everything is within. So continue.
Yep, and that's exactly what happened. I sit still, and I start getting in the word, and I'm like, I need to. I just made a oath, so to speak, or an agreement with the Creator,
yourself, right.
and myself most importantly. And I'm like, look, I'm no longer going to chase after these lustful flesh, big booty and a smile relationships. I'm not gonna be out here just putting my seed in anybody's garden and not watering it.
Check the camera because that time be going so fast. Just check.
We back with my spiritual sexual therapist, Wild Bloom. It's funny how she could be my therapist, and we've both been abstinent and celibate for 10 years. Me for like 9 and some change. So, but
And me
that's
for
the
2 months.
Yeah, you our baby. This is our celibate crew. We got so if you celibate and abstinence, feel free to come on our show anytime you want to.
Exactly.
So people who commit to this commitment to yourself and to whoever your higher self is or your whatever deity you pray for, give
Your
thanks for.
supreme being.
Yeah, I just decided like I'm not gonna keep repeating the same patterns and cycles willingly because I already know the outcome because I've already experienced the outcome. So doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results is insanity. So I'm like, I'm gonna sit my ass still and I'm gonna have total faith and just be that I'm gonna live a spiritual life again, awaken in my spirit, and then eventually some years later, I really got deep and I meditated for the first time in my life, and I experienced the Kundalini, and then from that point on, everything changed. So
What's a Kundalini?
you want to explain
No,
it
you
to?
go ahead. Just talk about it. Go
The
ahead.
Kundalini is it's slightly, everybody has a different experience, but how it happened for me, because I was already energetically in an open channel and ready. I used to always look at people who meditate as like just some weirdo hippies. I'm like, what are they doing? I always laughed at it because I was like a hardcore, not even a hardcore. I just was really raised, not even raised, just my first wife was Christian. Her daddy's a deacon. Her mama's the accountant at the church. So my roots were in Christianity, even though I don't say per se I take part in that. That's just the experience I had. So long story short, my catalyst came into my life, and she was the same way I was. She was Christian, blah 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 blah. So we both were out of the loop. So all of this happened at the same time. I had owned a radio station. I was partnered up with some church people too. And I decided to let that go because we weren't equally yoked. They wanted to make it a gospel station. I wanted to make it a secular station mixed with gospel, not just, I don't believe that's how, the only way you can reach people is through one form of music. I believe in variety. You can't preach to the choir if you're going to save them. You got to be able to talk their language. But that's I don't know if that's sex. I guess talking is sex, but
Everything is sex.
so how did it happen for me? So I just meditated for the first. I'm like, you know what's the worst that can happen? I'm like, when I wake up in the morning and I go to sleep, I pray anyway. So what's the worst that can happen if I meditate? So I said, the hell with it, let's do it. So I put my headphones on and I did a little research, and you already know, I being a disc jockey, I already knew about the frequencies of music, the frequencies of love, and you know how frequency and vibration and energy works. So I put on like 963 hertz. I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm an Aries, I'm gonna go to the top.
Okay.
And I put my headphones on, I just sat back and I prayed, I just be still, and I just was completely relaxed, just focusing on my breathing, meditating for the first time in about 45, it was deep, it was for a while, it didn't come immediately. I was like 45 minutes or so in, and what happens is all the energy in your body becomes aligned, and
Do they be
it takes
shaking and stuff like
no,
that?
I'm gonna tell you what happens. So it becomes a line, like, and it turns into a wave. Like all the water and the energy in your body becomes a wave, and it starts from the head, your crown chakra, and it flows through your entire body. Like it's basically, for me, it felt like your body becomes the water, like a water bed, just like the water behind us. It'll just be. Mine lasted for like 5 minutes. It's like for me at that point, because I never experienced anything like it, it was like an out of body experience, because it's like, this shit is real, and I don't know what it is, but I know it's real, and I have my eyes closed. I didn't want to like open my eyes. I'm like, I'm gonna ride this bad boy out until it stopped, and finally it stopped, and I opened my eyes, and I was like, okay. I know she had a different experience, because some people it's subtle, some people it's more intense. It just, I think your breath work has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it's like so basically your Kundalini is your sexual fires awakening within you, and it happens when you're in alignment. So it's when you pretty much experience orgasm on your own without external stimulation, to make it short. So, and it does happen through meditation and breathing, and so that's your sick. No, you don't need anything. Well, I know that's right. But yes,
you
for
do
some
that. People who have Kundalini sex and tantra sex and that type of stuff.
But that's basically what but you don't need anything external. But if you want to enjoy those things and play with those things, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's very real.
But it's just the alignment of your masculine and feminine within you that come together, and in your Kundalini, it's like a serpent. So you mostly are going to feel it start in your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and it goes up, and then you circulate, and you know, it's just like that. It's that serpent fire. Yeah. So
I wasn't expecting, because I didn't know what the hell it was when it hit me, and then it took me 2 or 3 months after the fact, because I didn't have anybody in my life at that time to tell me what the hell I experienced. So I had to go on the internet and hear other people talk about it. I'm like, this is exactly what happened to me. And then I met Wild Bloom and some other local soul tribe who've all experienced the same thing, but in slightly their own ways. So.
But ideally, what you want to do is, especially when you're single and even in partnership, you always want to be able to tap into that that self-orgasmic state, because that's how you know how to basically make love to yourself and make love and be with yourself. And then when you come together with your partner, you all can reach that cosmic orgasmic state, which is the gift and the treasure of partnership and union and sacred union.
And also too, when you experience your own body, you know exactly what you want when you with your sexual partner. You're like,
we talked about that on another podcast.
You know?
Exactly.
So it's very
you have to you have to really be in a self-loving relationship.
I wasn't in a relationship when it happened. Well, I guess kind of, sort of.
You were in a relationship with yourself. I said a self-loving relationship.
All right, we back. We didn't mean to cut y'all off, man.
They don't know that we were gone. You ain't got to say that part.
You right. So, damn, you got me. I'm sitting in the chair now because my ass been itching in this grass, man.
I told y'all.
All right, well, we're going to close out. We trust that whatever this love transmission is, it was transmitted to you. Whatever you needed, you got, because whatever you need, you already have. So we're just reminding you of what is already what we are. That's right. So our nature is love. Love is always in the making. Shashali, thank you for being our very special guest today.
It was a pleasure.
Yes. Jay Green,
It's
my partner. Thank
celibacy
you. Yes.
and what's the other word?
Abstinence. Yes.
Last question: Can you think someone can be considered spiritually awoken if they single and not experiencing abstinence and celibacy? Is that like part of the spiritual awakening? You
Well,
think?
I mean, I think that sexuality and spirituality are the same to me. It's like left hand, right hand. Because first off, everyone is born of sexual waters. We're all here because of sex. So if you're not honoring where you
There's
come
a kid
from,
over there. I'm just.
oh, it's okay. If you're not honoring where you're coming from, then you're disconnected from who you are. And the source of you is sex. Like, I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, but how did you get here? You got here through sex. So if you are dishonoring sex,
and you got here through an emotion, it's either the person was emotionally happy, those two people was happy during that time they doing it, or there was some type of emotion, whether you came in through life through a way maybe wouldn't have been the way that your parents may not have wanted you to, but at some point there was some type of interaction and intercourse that created you.
you are here because of the sexual waters. You have to honor your creation, honor your origin. So sexuality and spirituality are one and the same. So yes, you can be spiritually awakened and be sexual. You don't have to be abstinent. I think abstinence is a personal choice when you know that you need to clear and clean yourself up. When you're moving between partners because you always want to arrive in a new space clear and clean. It's just to honor yourself. It's to honor the person that you're now connecting with. I think it's sexually and spiritually responsible to abstain for those times, for those intermittent times. It's like intermittent fasting. But sexuality is spirituality, and love is always in the making. So, yeah.
So, can you be sexy and celibate and abstinent in 2021? Last question.
Absolutely. What do you mean?
We bringing sexy back, man.
Yes,
it's all right to
absolutely.
be celibate and abstinent. You got to. That's the only way you're gonna heal yourself, I think.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, but the thing is, even when you're, well, this is what I'm always talking about. When we talk about mirror work, it's not just a compass mirror that you look at, some piece of glass. Mirror is reflection. She's a mirror. He's a mirror. So mirror work is always honoring what you see in the mirror, because whoever you're engaging with, whoever is in front of you, that is your mirror. That is where your reflection lies in that moment. So
that's your report
Yeah,
card.
that's
So if you
just
don't
what
like
it
your
is.
grade, you better work a little hard to get straight A's.
level up. Level up.
If who you meeting is what you think is a C or a D, that means you gotta work a little hard on yourself, on
That's
that
right.
inner work, on that healing, on
That's
that.
it. That's it. So yeah. So but thank you, Chantion.
Yeah, we'll be back. We got some more topics. We're gonna give them a little sneak peek of what's coming. We're gonna stay on this relationship too. 'Cause
It's
good.
all. I mean, but that's just what it is. Like,
Yeah, it's therapeutic for me, man.
That's good. That's
And I
good.
think for
Shasha Lee.
Shasha Lee,
Shasha Lee.
therapeutic.
You got to do a titty shake when you say Shasha Lee.
Hey, we gotta go, man. We in a public place as kids around.
That's fine. Guess what? They came here because of somebody's titty shaking too. All right. Peace and love.
Namaste. Hallelujah. Om Shanti Shanti. Everything else I done forgot. Assalamu alaikum, whatever your thing
And
is.
Islam to my Moors.
239 Spiritual Awakening, 239 Healers Collective. Till the next time.